Hey friends, how you doing? Nick Jennison. It is the Monday Guitar Show. It's great to be here. Thanks for tuning in. We're wearing headphones because today we are talking about recording guitars, specifically the act of recording multi-layered, let's call them like rock and pop rock guitars, all that sort of business. We're talking about that sort of stuff. So it's all headphones on today, and would you believe it, on a stream about recording, we start with no sound, but that's okay because apparently I've done enough of these now where I'm able to sort out sound issues. Thanks for flagging that up to my attention. Otherwise I would have jammed forever in silence and still play by all accounts. But hey folks, listen, thanks for tuning in. If it's your first time here, welcome on board. We do this live every Monday where we hang out and we talk about guitar, and we specifically aim to talk about things that will make you a better guitar player. We've been changing things up in the studio as well. It kind of felt like the look we had was okay, but it didn't really suit the mood of what I'm kind of going for. It didn't really reflect what's going on here in the room, but you know, we got some things going on. Now we are halfway through a lighting revamp, so stick with us. This is a temporary look. If you're into the way this looks, let us know. I think it looks pretty cool. It's going to look even better next week because we got some more things coming, but stuff just haven't quite arrived yet. But anyway, we got some questions coming in. We'll answer those in just a second. Today's stream is all about the subject of recording, though. We're going to be doing a recording session together where I show you how I would go about layering up a multi-tracked recorded guitar, let's call it a guitar arrangement. In our next couple of streams, I'll show you how to take that stuff live with a live arrangement based upon the recorded arrangement that we've been working on. And then we'll also talk about how you might go about crafting a killer sounding solo over the top. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is very much some skills to pay the bills kind of stuff. We've got some courses related to that, but I'll tell you all about that in just a little bit, I guess. Not another time, but a little bit later on today. So let's check in with the stream, see how everybody's getting on. We got some questions going already. If you do have questions, don't forget we'll be answering your questions as we go through this. So if you got questions, drop your questions down below in the comments. We'll answer as many of them as is humanly possible. But first, let's check in with our stream and see how folks are getting on. PJ is in the house. Marcine is in the house. Hope you guys are all fine. I'm doing pretty good. Been having a lot of fun with the drill today. In fact, the drill is literally just down here drilling up new light fittings and all that sort of thing. But it's been cool, man. You know, we've got the LEDs a little bit more on show and all that sort of business. Yeah, I think it's looking quite good. Who else do we have? Response Audio says, hi Nick, hi guys, I hope you're all having a great Monday. Good topic for the stream today. Thanks, man. It's a fun topic. It's one that's close to my heart. Let's just say that. Fog Cornish is here, says, hello friends. Larry Warren says, hey peoples, it's great to see you. Greetings one and all. Greetings to you too, Larry Warren. It's lovely to have you. A returning streamer, one of our regulars on these streams. It's great to have you on board. Helmet Strap says, hello Nick, hello everyone. Looking forward to the new topic. Mark Randall says, hey Nick, hey guys, been over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, youch, for a week here in Southern California. Finally the last day of the sweltering heat and cooler times ahead. Man, we are jealous, let's just say. It's pretty cold here in the UK. It's been getting a little bit better over the last few days, but we've had a little run of freezing cold weather. It's been thoroughly horrible. Our friend, who I'm going to butcher your name, I keep butchering the name, I do apologize. Let's get this right. Vyacheslav Mariv is tuning in from Russia, if I recall. Says, which I'm assuming is a good thing. It's great to have you here. Thanks for tuning in, man. Timothy Appling's here. Crankatom is here. Kim's tuning in from somewhere warm. Jack Connor is in the house, man. If it's the Jack Connor, let me know if it's the Jack Connor, because Jack, we talked about this a little bit ourselves. This is going to be a lot of fun. Mike Seedorf is here, says, hello Nick and everybody else who is here. Who's here for the best live guitar instructor on YouTube? That is very kind of you, man. Thank you very much. Urga Hogg is in the house. Lovely to see you. Franz is tuning in. Deadman Doogie Van Doogerson. Sam Junior Music. We got some more comments about the weather. A little bit jealous. You guys let me know that the sound was off, but we fixed it and that's okay. Mark McNish is here, says, good afternoon and evening, everyone, and Nick, of course. Great to see you. Back in the office on Mondays, so now I'll be pretending to play along. That's cool, man. You don't actually need to play along too much today, but we'll get that sort of stuff. Kim likes the look in the studio, and that's a good thing, I'm guessing, so that's cool. Timothy Appling says, new LED light effects. They've actually been here all along. I just haven't really been showing them off because we've had the lighting kind of all messed up. But the question is, what is the amp behind my shoulder over here? This is the new Victory MK Overdrive. It's the the new like hand-wired boutique thing. I can't plug in and show you yet, right? I can't plug in and show you yet, but it's cool. It's public knowledge, right? These are the new, like, hyper expensive but super amazing victories. Can confirm. Absolutely tremendous. Can we get the intro from Pound Cake? I'm more likely to give you the intro for Daddy Brother, if that makes sense, but that bit doesn't involve the drill, but maybe we'll crack that out. Anyway, listen, if you are enjoying what we're doing here, we're going to get cracking in the meat of today's session today. Don't forget, best ways you can help us out, best ways you can help us keep doing these streams and keep bringing you guys this content, which I think is valuable, hopefully you think is valuable too, is you can do the following. You can smash the thumbs up button on whatever platform you happen to be watching on. You can share this with your guitar playing friends, and if you're watching us on YouTube, on whichever channel that happens to be, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, all that sort of stuff. So let's get into the meat of today's stream, which is going to involve this Logic project. Now this project here is something that I've concocted today. This is going to represent a song idea for us, and we're going to talk about how you're going to record some guitars, layer them up to get them working with this particular song. Now this song in question is one I've very quickly thrown together using some drums that I recorded for a band I'm producing. I won't say who they are, let's just get on that, but it's a great drummer. I won't name names, right, because you know, you'll know about it when it comes out. Here are the drums, laid some bass down today. This is the sort of thing that you might hear if you're writing with a band, maybe you're jamming with some friends, maybe you've written something similar to this yourself. I'm going to throw some proper headphones on in a second so we can hear this for real and I can talk properly over the top. But this is a typical intro verse chorus pattern. We have an intro, we have a verse, we have a chorus. I'm going to make myself small so you can see a little more about what's going on here. This should be all fairly standard stuff. So we've got a chord progression in the key of A minor. We're going to turn this into a backing track, I guess, something we can jam along with. But you guys can hear what's going on. It's all pretty simple stuff. If you're not listening with headphones, by the way, or listening on studio monitors, I would thoroughly encourage you to do that today because you'll get the best out of this with something that you can actually hear the guitars properly on. So let's begin by talking about how we're going to set about recording something for this, because I want to turn this from this drums and bass arrangement into something resembling a full-on like pop rock guitar arrangement. So let's take a look maybe at starting with some rhythm guitars. We'll start with some rhythms. We're not going to lay any solos down today, but we'll maybe start with some big meaty rhythms, because I feel like this chorus in particular and the intro in particular is going to need some big valuable rhythm guitars, let's say. Extra value rhythm guitar. Some nice big sounding slabs of chord. We'll talk about guitar selection in a minute. We'll talk about the selection of amplifier, whether we use a fuzz, whether we use a drive pedal, speaker selection, and all of the above. But let's start by establishing some ground rules here. So the ground rules may be that we want some kind of dynamic variation from part to part. We don't just want to play the same sounds from the intro to the verse to the chorus. We want some degree of escalation from the first verse to the second verse. We probably want the verses to be a little quieter than the choruses, or at least a little less intense in terms of guitar arrangement than the choruses. This is not a rule, but it's, you know, 9 times out of 10 you'll find that, but it's certainly the way if we listen to the drums. You can hear that the drummer here is bringing it down a little bit in our verses and laying in a bit harder in our choruses. I think we can probably start by laying down some big distorted guitars. Now, big distorted guitars are fun. This is kind of where we'll begin. Let's maybe take a look at throwing on some big distorted guitars in our choruses, because I feel like that's a good place to begin. Let's take a look at the chord progression. Chord progression is quite simple. We have an A, an F, and a D. Same thing. A minor, F. Let's go to the hands cam. And D, I might just move this cam slightly over this way so we can see it a little better today. Let's just bosh that over here. That's probably a little better so we can see what's going on. All right, once again, chord progression. A minor, F, D. The D is currently ambiguous. It could be major, it could be minor. We get to decide. A minor, F, D. So intro and verse are the same. I don't think there are any weird changes from here to here. We've got a G. Chorus will be F, G, A minor with some stabs. That's going to be a fun place to begin. F, G, D. Oh, F again. Let's just listen to that one more time. Ah, F to D. F to D. F, G. Now that we've established ourselves a chord progression, we've got a camera where we can see what I'm playing. Oh, hello, double me. Nobody wants that. There we go. That's pretty cool. That's what we want. Let's start by laying down some rhythms here. And we're going to begin by talking about double tracking, because there's been some discussion already. Constantine M says here, he's read my mind, says, hello from Ukraine. I always record processed guitar track with DI double tracking. Let's talk about what double tracking is. Double tracking is where we basically record the same guitar part twice. Now, I have some thoughts on double tracking, but the reason we double track a guitar part primarily is to create stereo width. Now, stereo is an interesting phenomenon. When we want width in our recording, we're looking for differences between the left and right channels. Think about it like this for a second. If you imagine a set of speakers, imagine I have a speaker here. In fact, imagine these big acoustic panels behind me are speakers, right? We've got a left speaker and a right speaker. We're able to make sounds come out of the sender, even though there is no center speaker. There is no speaker in the middle. But we've all heard sounds come out of the middle. If you listen to this on speakers, you'll hear the kick and the snare and the bass coming out of the middle, and the toms and the cymbals coming out of the left and right. How is this if there is no center speaker? It's what we call the phantom center image, which is what happens when we have two of the same signal in the left and right speakers. So if we record a guitar part, and we do what a lot of folks will do, where they'll record it and then copy and paste it, we don't actually get a double track guitar part. We get a mono guitar part, only twice as loud. I will show you what's going on with this in a second. But first of all, let's lay down some chords. Now for this, I may stick with the Maybach, but I think I'm going to reach for a PRS for this, just because I want a slightly more mid-range focus. So we'll probably reach for this PRS. This is a PRS 594. It's a beautiful guitar. Very, very nice. And I know I need a low D here, so I may tune down for this just for a second. So let's tune down. We're going to build this together. I'm going to tune up, and then I'll tune down. So let's go to drop D. You guys can't hear that because I've muted while I tune, because I'm civilized. And we'll run through some sounds and see what we can concoct. So for this, what I'll probably do is I'll probably loop the chorus. Here is my distorted guitar. Now it sounds majestic here. We've got loads of delay on. We're not actually going to record with that delay. That delay is going to get in our way. It sounds great live. If I play this in our chorus and I go... I'll just retune in a second. Sounds cool, but man, yeah, a little bit messy. Let's just quickly retune this guitar, make sure it's going to play ball for us today. Tuning, it's one of them things, man. If you think you're in tune for a recording, you're not in tune. Right? Tune and tune and tune again. So that delay is fun, but we're going to knock that off. We don't want that big delay sound. We want something dry we can record with. Much better. There's also a little bit of room reverb there, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now, next thing with this is to talk about amp sounds. So, the amp sound I have here is very big. It's a very large, very distorted sound. That may wind up being the wrong sound for our track. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to solo this up, and I'm just going to roll through the amp sounds that I have available to me. So this is the Mega Gain of Doom. That's a little better, a bit tighter. Probably not enough gain there. That's quite good fun. That's quite nice. What I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a sound that's quite big, has quite a lot of gain and quite a lot of that rock thing going on, but isn't super gained out. It's not gained out to the point where we lose all definition. So I'm going to throw my headphones on to do some critical listening. We're not looking for the dual rectifier, super slammed guitar of death. That's pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to audition a couple of impulse responses for this, because I'm recording using impulse responses, and you'll be astonished how much difference the IR makes to the guitar's tone. So very quickly, let's run through a few. That's quite cool. Let's try them in situ. All right, we're going to vote on this. I'm going to play impulse response 1 and then impulse response 2. And you guys are going to vote on which one you like. Let's start with 1. This is 1, and then I'll play 2, and you can vote. We'll go back and forward. That's 1, here's 2. That's cool. Let's do that again one more time. Here is 1. Let's go once again, and I'll click between them a bit quicker this time. Here's 1. Okay, here comes 2. All right. The people have spoken. It's number 1. Now, for folks who maybe don't know what's going on here, impulse responses refer to essentially a simulation of a mic'd up guitar cabinet. And you guys are absolutely right when you say 1 is more defined. 2, for me, has a little bit more hair on it, let's say. Miguel's got a very interesting comment about having space for the lead. We'll figure that out as we go, fear not. So you guys are all into the 1. So yeah, Crank Tom is asking where the IRs are coming from. They're coming from my Waza tube amp expander, which is what I'm using to load these IRs. These are all own hammer IRs. The IRs in question, let me just pop it up here on the screen and show you. IR1 is a, let's go full screen and show you. It's my Mesa 4x12. So it's a Mesa 4x12, the 51, 57 and a 421. Impulse response number 2 was a Marshall Greenback cab with a 57 and a 121. So we like the Mesa cab. That's cool. We're going to stick with the Mesa cab. Let's lay some stuff down. Now, while we've been doing that, I've been figuring these parts out. And I think I'm going to keep it fairly simple for this because we're going to lay a lot of guitars on top of this. And we may keep some of that mid-range for some layers. So let's start by throwing some guitars down. I'm going to throw... I'll probably spare you guys the metronome. I don't think I need it. So what I'm going to do here is I'll probably loop this up. I'll recheck my tuning. And I'll show you the way I'm going to record this. So, quite like our friend mentioned earlier on, we're going to record a DI at the same time. Let me show you what I mean by that. So, let's add in 2 new audio tracks. This track we're going to label Rhythm Left DI. That's going to come in on input 5, and I'm going to turn that so it has no output because I don't want to hear it. I just want it to be there. And this one we're going to bring in on input 6. Now input 6 is my dry guitar sound without any reverb. So I'll call this Rhythm L DI. I'll call this next one Rhythm L. We'll just call it Rhythm L. I might make notes about this as we go further, but that's probably as far as we need to go. So we're in tune. That feels like a very nice conservative part. I'm going to play that in front of you guys on camera because that's how we like to do things. I'm going to hide this comment. We're going to question asking if we're using the Boss as an attenuator. I am actually using the Boss not as an attenuator but as a load box. So it's my load box for the day. Let's maybe move this camera so we can see a little bit of right hand action as well. Easy shift that across. And just a tiny bit of my chin, but that's fine. Here we go. Let's record ourselves a guitar part. We're going to record both of these. I'll show you the DI in a second, and I'll loop this up in case I make any mistakes. Here we go. Now, already we made a mistake there because I didn't quite catch that push, and I want to get that. Now that sounds pretty good, but I feel like my tuning was a little suspect, so we'll maybe grab that one more time. We might see if I can get a slightly better take of that, but I'm not going to labor over it because we're going to get this track done today. I think it's probably okay. Let's listen back and find out. Yeah, that sounded pretty good to me. Yep, pretty decent. Now, let me show you the DI and why I have the DI. There's a few reasons for this, right? But I'm going to show you this right now. So our DI is an interesting thing. The DI is just a dry recording. So there's nothing going on here. If we output it to our stereo output, it's going to sound like this. Dull. Coming in at a nice healthy level, but a fairly boring sound. Not a lot going on there. Now, the reason we have the DI is so that if we don't like the amp sound that we recorded, we can reamp, we can put it through an amp simulator, but also, if we wanted to do any editing, it's much easier to edit your guitar part on the DI than it is to do it on the actual sausage of sound that is our proper waveform. So we can see there I'm pushing a little bit, so my time is a little bit ahead, but that's okay. I'm kind of all right with that. I think it's creating kind of a bit of excitement. But if I wanted to tighten that time up, what I would do is I would use the DI as my timing reference. I would group these two tracks together and edit them on the DI, or using the DI as my guide. But we're going to hide that for now. We'll put it so it doesn't have an output, and we're going to pan this to the left. Now, here's one common mistake folks will make, is they'll take this track that we've just had here, this rhythm track that we've just played, and they'll go, I'm going to double track this rhythm. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it like this, and now it's double tracked, and I'll pan that to the right. Take a listen to how this sounds. That's a mono guitar. That is one mono guitar. There is no difference between these two channels because it's the same performance played equally through both speakers. Now what this means is that the ear hears it as a single center sound, a single sound coming out of the center of the sonic spectrum. So that's no good to us. So what we could do is we could re-record using the same setup. Or we could change something. Let's do a quick comparison of the two. I'm just going to re-record it using the same setup, and then maybe I'll change something and see where we get on. Now we have a few options about what to change. We can change a guitar, we can change the pickup, we can change the amp, we can change the amp channel, we can change the speaker, the IR. I'm going to make an argument for keeping the guitar the same, but I'll get to that in a second. We're going to quickly retune, but we'll get to that. Now, I could also do things like pull up a push-pull and get a single coil sound. We could do that, but we'll maybe not worry about that. I'm just going to retrack this with the guitar as is. Have a listen to how it sounds double-tracked. Already missed that. Let's just go once more. Ba, ba, ba. Now, it wasn't I only recorded the DI, so let's get that again. That's it. I was going to say I wasn't dreadfully happy with that, but that's fine. We'll go once more. Nice. Okay, a quick comparison for you guys. This is what it sounds like when we have a single mono guitar part played through both channels, and then we'll show you what it sounds like double tracked. Here we go. Right, that's the same part through both speakers. Here it is with an actual double track where we play a different performance. Wide. Now already that's created some huge width in our guitar recording. Sounds big, sounds large. Now what we could also do with this is we could change something in the signal chain. We could change perhaps the IR. We could maybe use a different cab for the right-hand side. I don't think we need to do this, but just as a point of comparison, let's try it. So let's do this, same thing, but this time with the greenback cab that we liked. That was cab number 2. Let's just do a quick comparison. I already know I don't like that as much, but let's compare. Greenback on this side. Same cab. Yeah, the same cab is definitely better for this occasion. Now, you may be arguing at this point, well, wait a minute, hang on, shouldn't you change something for the double track? You don't always have to. There are times when just doing the same thing is absolutely fine. Now, I feel like this is already sounding pretty good. These two double track rhythms, I'm going to pan them hard left and right. They sound pretty sweet, but there are other things we can do to make this sound more interesting. So the next thing we might take a look at is a layer. We might take a look at a layer guitar part to add some spice to the top end, let's say. Now a layer guitar part is where we start to fill in a bit more of the chord, a bit more of the harmony that we have going on with some, I guess maybe some small parts of the chord. Maybe we play an octave, or maybe we play a dyad part or something like this. And there's a few ways we can skin this cat. I am going to try and find something that works really well for this particular set of chords. So let's go back to over here. Let's maybe go to the two hands cam. We'll talk about what's going on chord wise. So our first chord is this guy here, F major. Now in our chord we have an F, a C, another F. Within the actual chord itself, the notes that we have available are F, A, and C. So maybe I could start by playing an A. So I can maybe start here, because that's a note that's in the chord, but isn't in the voicing that I'm playing. So right away, if I just cycle up that one bar, I can play this A note already it sounds a little more interesting, but maybe that's a bit on the nose. Maybe we want to play something else. Maybe we want to catch the 9. So the 9 might be this G note here. Maybe we want to play that G. And maybe also this C. Which might give us this. That's already pretty cool, but because it's the same sound, it's starting to blur a little bit into that big rhythm guitar thing. So what I'm probably going to do here is I'll probably switch to a slightly different sound. Here is one of the drive sounds. A bit dark, but it might work. Let's get a bit more hair on it. Let's compare that. And in fact, for this, I may switch guitars entirely, because that's not really doing the goods for me. I feel like that's too much of the same guitar. So what I might do here is I might switch back to the Maybach. Maybach also has some PAF-style humbuckers. That's working. I'm kind of into that. Let's see how that sounds. Very different sound. Actually quite light. The middle pickup there. So maybe we'll go to the middle position. And let's compare. We go. Yeah, I like that. That sounds pretty good. So we've got our middle position. Let's find some other voicings that might work with this. So that's good. And I think that's going to work over the G. So for my G, I could keep this note static and play G and D. So we have... That might work really well. Let's just check those out together. Yeah, I'm into that. I could slide it up. That might work too. Let's try that. Let's go. Yeah, I like that up here. That's a fun thing to play over the A minor. That's a fun line. Maybe we'll stick with that. Maybe I'll go. Yeah. That might work. Let's try. Yeah, okay. We got that. That sounded pretty good. So I am going to drop this in, yeah, I'm going to record this now. And as with my other guitar part, I'm going to double track this. And I might actually do this in a couple of different pickup settings. But let's just try it. We'll give them some names. We'll call them, it's going to go to this camera on its own for now. Let's call them layer LDI, layer L. Okay. Let's throw these in. This is going to give us some lift in our chorus. So we'll go like this. That's good fun. That's a fun sounding line. Let's double track it because we like to double track things. Got some questions coming in. I'll answer those as we go. Same deal. We're going to double track them. We're going to pan them hard left and hard right. So we've got no outputs on our DIs. We don't need outputs on our DIs. Let's call that layer R, DI, layer R. And I'll hide these DIs in a second. So for this, I may stick with the same cab. I may stick with the same speaker. Let's see what the splits sound like. That sounds cool. Let's try a couple of different speakers. Let's try some weird stuff. So that's kind of fun. Now that's a sound that sounds a little bit obnoxious on its own. It's not the most pleasant sound. But that's going to blend really nicely. That's a 1x12 deluxe cab with a Marshall type amp feeding it. But that's going to blend really nice, I think. And I'm on my split bridge pickup for this. Let's try the neck pickup. Yeah, neck pickup sounds killer. Let's bring that in together. I'm going to play the same thing. And we'll go like this. That's going to sound nice. Let's take a listen to it together. Same thing. And then we'll do some processing because we'll process these in a second. Yeah, that sounded pretty good, but these feel like they need a little bit of love. So now that we've got these all together, can you guys hear me okay? I think we've got a bit of rustle going on in the microphone. It's probably off this mic. It's probably just rubbing on my t-shirt. I think it's got a little bit tucked on something like that. You guys get me now? Are you receiving me? Was it the microphone? Was the microphone being a bit weird? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know if the voice is okay. If there's a short somewhere, let me check in my other headphones where I can hear my voice. Give me a second. Let's put the guitar down. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, that was literally just a rustle on my t-shirt is what it was. That's fine. No problem. I just don't like to hear my own voice when I'm talking. I love the sound of my own voice in the figurative sense, but not in the literal sense. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these guitar tracks. I'm just going to group these up and maybe do a little bit of processing on them. So for this, what I'll do is I'm going to send all these guitars to a bus. And the way we do this in Logic is with what's called a track stack. And we'll just call this layer. I'm going to very quickly show you some tricks for getting the best out of these guitars in terms of sound, and we'll call this rhythm. And then we'll do some cleaner stuff. Let's call this rhythm. Cool. So now we've got two buses, a bus for our layers and a bus for our rhythms. Interesting sounds. They both sound pretty good. The rhythms in particular, nice and big, but we're going to start with processing on the layers. So what I'll do here is I'm going to throw some stuff on here. And the first thing we'll do is we're going to throw some delay on. So I tend to use delays on sends, and I have one particular send that I tend to use all of the time, which is send 38. 38 is almost always my delay, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to send this to a delay sound. You don't need to see me so much now, so I'm going to make myself tiny. And let's pick a delay sound. We're not going to get super into this, but let's maybe do the good old-fashioned Where is Nameless Streets. That's looking pretty good. That's a dotted eighth note delay that we can send these guitars to. Now this delay is going to be a little like if we recorded with the delay, but now we have the chance to determine how much of it comes out of That's pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit of spread on this. And I think what I might do also is I might take a little bit of the high and low out of this delay. So what I'm doing there is I'm just using the high and low pass filters to pull out some lows, pull out some highs, just to make it sit a bit further back in the mix. Let's take a listen to that. Ba-boom! What a pun! That's pretty good in its own. All right. Without, with. It's a cool sound. Now we'll do a little bit of processing too on these guitars, because why not? I am going to do this in a couple of stages. We're going to start by throwing an EQ on here. I like SSL EQ2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by clearing out some low-end muck on my guitar. This is something that is very common to do. Now what you'll see here is on these layers, a bit of a spectral representation of what's going on. You can see all the magics happening up here. There's a lot of boof going on down at this bottom. That's just clouding things up a little bit. So let's go. Now on its own, that sounds like it's clean. It's kind of like taking a bit of the weight and a bit of the size away from the guitar. But trust me on this little move on its own is going to make this layer sit way better in our guitar mix. Let's have a listen. We're going to go like this. Let's bypass this EQ. Bypassed. Notice how, as soon as we throw that EQ on, taking some of the lows out of that guitar, all of a sudden there's loads of space, there's loads of room in the guitars, right? Loads and loads and loads of, like, I guess it's the separation between the big heavy rhythms and the layer. It seems to pop out of the speakers a bit more. All this is doing is literally cleaning up some mucky low end that we don't necessarily want. It's not really contributing anything to the overall sound. It sounds cool on its own, but in a mix, it's just eating up space. Now, this is something that we can consider when we play live as well. We can consider the sound that we're playing with and whether it's contributing something in terms of the overall tone, or whether it's just, you know, a sound that we like. Let me rephrase that. Maybe the low end is contributing something because that guitar is a feature part that needs to be big and boom and thud, or maybe it's just getting in the way. Now, let's do something similar to our rhythm guitars. This is just a little bit of EQ work. I'm going to throw this on here very quickly. A little bit of EQ work. I have a feeling we may need to turn this into 2 streams, but we'll figure that out. So let's take a look at the rhythm guitar. Now, I'm going to be a little bit less full on in terms of cutting on the rhythm guitar, but we can see most of the energy's around here. I'm going to look for our lowest note. Now, I happen to know what it is. Somewhere down there. There's a D. Now, this is going to be somewhere in that 70 hertz region, because the lowest note on an electric guitar is around 80 hertz. I'm going to guess if I cut at 70 hertz, we're not going to impact any of that low frequency information in terms of the actual notes of the guitar, but we'll get rid of some grumbly rumble. That's a very subtle thing, but if we compare the difference between the two guitars with the bass in, those of you listening on good speakers will notice that you can hear the bass a lot more clearly when we start to cut that guitar. Now, there are all sorts of other processing tricks we can do. We're not going to worry too much about those. These are just the very basics, just kind of making space for things in our mix. Now, these sound pretty good. Does it still have room for a solo? Probably. Let's find out. The amps just whistle at me as if to say, yeah. But let's find out. Let's go to the solo sound, which is over here. Big roomy noise. Let's see what it sounds like. I mean, yeah, I could do with turning this guitar up a little bit, but you get the gist, right? That is going to work. That's really nice. Now, the reason I say this is because my instinct was to put something else in the middle there and fill that out a bit more, but I'm in the knowledge that I'm probably going to solo over this. Now, what we could do, if we wanted to fill this track out further, is we could play what Joe Barresi calls the Enforcer track. And the Enforcer track is room to play basically a really horrible sound. So here's a clean. Let me show you some of the horrible sounds I have available to me. I have lots of awful sounds, and I love these awful sounds. They go really well up the middle of a track. Here is an awful sound. Here's an awful sound. Here's an awful sound. Here's a really awful sound. Oh no, that's a decent sound. Here's an incredibly awful sound. I'm actually going to take that awful sound and lay that up the middle. I'll show you what it does. So I'm not going to bother recording a DI just yet, but let's throw this on. I'll play some power chords at the middle and show you what this awful sound sounds like. Ooh, let's try it again. Once again, forgot to hit the record button. Here we go. Let me get the time. Ooh, hello. Let me get the timing right. That is desperate to howl at me, but that's fine. We'll just keep an eye on it. Maybe there. That's probably the biting point. Oh, missed the chord change. Let's get it again. Now that is a disgusting noise. That on its own is really, really foul. But check out what happens when we blend it in. Up the middle. Really gross. Let's pull out some of the low end because that's really mucky. Might even pull out some high end too. Let's feed this disgusting track in. What happens when I blend this in with the rest of my arrangement? Let's loop the chorus up. That's a really fun trick. Now that may eat up a little bit too much room for your solo, but having a really disgusting sound at the middle can really do some wonderful things here. Now, let's fill out the rest of this chorus. I think we're probably going to wind up turning this into a bit of a series, so maybe we'll do another stream next week. If you guys are into it, maybe we'll do a little bit more on this. We have some questions about how I'm recording this stuff. I'm going to show you just one more little layer that I might throw on this. So I also like to have, in addition to things like these top chimey layers, in addition to the dirty, horrible layer in the middle, I also like what I call a wobble layer. Everybody loves a wobble. Stephen Wilson talks about a wobble. I have several wobbles available to me. Now, hopefully I'm not just going to pull my whole studio apart while I'm doing this, but tucked somewhere over here, I have a Ooh, please don't make crazy noises. I have a Strymon Mobius, which I'm going to use for some wibbly wobbly noises. I think we've got a lot of love for a series of streams here, so maybe we'll do a series on this new audio track. I want to take a second, by the way, guys, and show you a course that we have on this. So tell you about a course that we have that relates to this, because of course these streams are brought to you by our friends at Lick Library and Guitar Interactive Magazine. So don't forget that we have a whole bunch of killer tuition available for you guys who want a little bit of help with this stuff. Specifically, the course that I want to highlight today is the course that we have linked down below, which is a let me show rather than tell. You'll have to bear with me just one quick second. Well, there's two me's. So the course in question is this guy. This is Levi Clay's Chord Encyclopedia, Volume 3, Extended Harmony. Now, this is a course that's going to help you kind of come out with or come up with these parts that I'm playing? Because a lot of these questions that I'm seeing coming in, or at least on one of the channels, are about how did you decide on these lines that you were going to play? Well, I know my harmony, I know my extensions, I understand how chords go together. This enables me to come up with this stuff quite quickly and to develop these ideas live on stream for you guys. I came in here without preparation. I just recorded this bass line and went, yeah, it'll be fine. I'll come up with something on the stream. And I did, because I understand chord changes and how they work. And part of this is, well, a big part of it is just learning how harmony works and learning chord changes and learning a little bit of music theory. And this course, friends, which is available as part of your Lick Library membership, will do wonders to that end. So if you're a Lick Library member, I'm going to encourage you to go study that. If you're not a Lick Library member, if you don't have your Lick Library membership, rather, maybe consider taking one out today, because, man, there's a load of great stuff in there, and this is just one of them. So let me show you a wobble layer, and then we shall dash off and do some other things. I'm going to throw on a clean-ish sound for this. Let's maybe go to an elusive edge of breakup tone and see what wobbles I have at my disposal. I got a tremolo. What else do I have? I got a chorus. I got a very broken sound. There are definitely other tones available. We could do things like a vibrato. We could do things like I really like a very washy kind of flanger for this sort of thing. But tremolo is a lot of fun for wobbly sounds. And I'm going to show you this, right? This is a wobble part that we can put in, but I'm going to play the wobble part on a slightly esoteric guitar. We have a choice of two, right? And we're going to vote in the comments on this one, right? You guys can vote and let me know. I love weird and wonderful guitars. The first guitar that's weird and wonderful is this. This is a Rapier Sapphire 12 string. So do we play it on the 12 string, right? That's one choice. Or do we play it on this guy? This is a guitar in a secret tuning. So I want to know from you guys, do you want the 12 string or do you want the secret tuning? You let me know, right? First vote in the comment gets it. Do we want the 12 string? Do we want the secret tuning? Let's just wait for one of these, and we're going to play some tremolo wobble. Maybe if you hear the secret tuning. Miguel says 12 string, 12 string it is. We'll bust the secret tuning out next time. You guys want the 12 string? Cool, 12 string it is, no problem. So here's 12 string, right? 12 string sound like a lot of fun. Here's one I tuned earlier. Some votes coming in for the secret tuning. I'll tell you what the secret tuning is in a bit. But that 12 string sounds like magic. That is a beautiful thing. I'm going to drop what I'm going to call a wobble layer up the middle here. And it's going to be really simple. Ooh. This is going to add a little bit of movement to our track. Now for this, here's a little trick I like to do. I'm going to use a sound with a little bit of room ambience on it. And I'm going to do this by throwing my wet guitar sound in here. This is a stereo track. And I'm going to commit to this with a little bit of room, because this is going to be towards the back of my my mix. It's not going to be something that sits super prominent forward. I think what I'll actually do is I'll probably just quickly change the IR. Let's maybe go with something like this. That's a fun sound. Okay, let me play this part in for you real quick, and I'll show you what the wobble layer does. Wobble layer just adds a little bit of back and forward pulsation going on in our chorus. Let's take a listen. Good job I tuned this earlier, because I'm not doing it again. That's a lot of fun. Let me take the wobble. I'm going to blend it in. But first of all, a little bit of processing. You know the drill. We're going to go here. We're going to get our low cut on. And this, I'm going to be quite aggressive because our wobble's got quite a lot of low end in it. Let's have a listen on its own. It also has a slightly unpleasant thing going on somewhere at the top end. there's just a little bit of weird crispiness going on at the very top that I'm not into. And I'm just going to pull a little bit of that out. Don't worry about that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And what we can do here, somebody mentioned using an imager before, and specifically ozone imager. I have ozone imager. Maybe we'll throw that on our wobble, because the wobble's quite good fun with ozone imager. In fact, let's not even do that. Let's do something simpler, something very simpler. I'm going to throw a delay directly onto my wobble, and what I'll do is I'll set it so that only the left side is wet, and the left side is the right side is a single repeat with a very short delay time. Let's unsync these and let's maybe run with just a 30 milliseconds, just something like this. That's fun. Let's go again. So if we bypass this, you can hear that's kind of mono. That's suddenly super wide. That sounds really cool. Now, we've got some questions about the delay needing to be in time, or the tremolo needing to be in time. We don't need to worry about that. So what you guys are hearing here is you're hearing the left channel is completely undelayed. The right channel has a delay on it of 30 milliseconds. Let's blend it into the track. And here's what we get. Blending it in. Ah, very nice. Quite subtle. We could probably go a bit bigger with it. Let's put our track together one piece at a time and see what we've got. Here is just bass and drums. This is just the chorus. Rhythm guitars in. Layers in. I would do a little bit of EQ to those to make them pop. So let's actually quickly do that now. Let's throw on the easiest of EQs. Let's do a channel strip. I love a channel strip. Specifically an SSL 4K, and let's add some 1K. Easiest thing in the world. Let's add the horrible enforcer channel. There's our enforcer channel. That's going to get a channel strip too. Let's add some 700 hertz to that. Terrible sound and frequency. Oh yeah. Wobble. That wobble's nice. I'm going to send the wobble to the delay as well, because why not? Let's throw that out there too. Yeah, very pretty. Get rid of all that extra stuff. Well, folks, we didn't achieve our mission of recording the whole song, but we recorded a cool sounding chorus, let me tell you. So there's some tricks that you can use to create some interesting sounding guitar arrangements. I think it sounds pretty cool. I think the end result has come out quite well. We've got some questions. I'm going to answer as many of these questions quickly as we can. We have run out of time, but I'll just answer them anyway, because why not? We've got some questions about recommendations for a good DAW. If you're a Mac user, GarageBand, because it's free. If you're a Windows user, Reaper, because it's free. I like Logic because I've used Logic for a long time. GarageBand is basically Logic now. That's the whole deal. We got some questions about quad tracking. Secret Godslayer says quad tracking is always better than double tracking. Not always, but often. But it's also more time consuming. And you guys didn't want to sit and watch me do 4 recordings of the same rhythm. But yeah, kind of a dull thing. We've got some other stuff too. Let me just quickly run through these. Larry Warren says, are you panning left and the other panned right? I think we already answered that one, but yes, absolutely we are. We're panning these hard left and right. If I could pan them further than left and right, I would. But we're not going to do any of this sort of stuff. Here's a cool one from Ergohog. There's like 5 guitars, 2 left and right 100%, 2 left and right 50%, 1 in the middle with the center volume dropped. We've basically done that without the 50% pair. But yeah, I can get behind that. Really cool one from UV Jams Guitar Covers. Put an isotope imager on a bus, connect both tracks, and then set the stereo width to taste as well as above. Sure, you can definitely do that, and it can make things super, super wide. Myself, I've always found just a hard pan on rhythms is kind of enough, but you definitely can do that, and it can be really, really cool. Sam Junior Music says, would you refer to that as a line going up, referring to this line, our layer? I mean, I guess you could. You absolutely could refer to it as that. I just think about it as like a layer, if that makes sense. So there's a wee little layer going on there. But yeah, you absolutely could, because the line is ascending. You can call it a little ascending line. And the fact that it ascends gives us some energy as we go further as well. Benny Crisco is saying, is he using a DI box with his interface? Yes, here's what I'm recording through. So the way you guys are hearing this is there are 4 guitar channels I'm recording at any given time. The first thing I'm going to is I'm going from my guitar into a DI box, and that's taking a clean DI. So we have these clean DIs, for example, on the layer DI on its own sounds like this. Dull as dishwater, but I could use that if I so desired to throw an amp sim on. So for example, I could pop overloud on like this one, and maybe choose this, let's say. So if I wanted a different sound to the one I've got, I could use the DI for that, or I could use it to reamp. So I'm always recording a DI. That's one of the things that I'm using. Let's just put that back to no output, because we don't want to hear that DI. I'm also recording a wet, dry, wet guitar sound at any given time, because I like to play through my Strymon pedals on stream, and that's coming in on 2 different inputs, left and right, but I also have one that's not going through the Strymons, which is just a dry sound. So that's what we're recording with. So I'm recording the DI, and I'm recording through my tube amp expander with the Victory Super Kraken. Nothing wrong with using plugins, but I have amps. I like to use amps. That'll be why. We got a lot of love about the idea of this being a series of streams, so maybe that's what we're gonna do, I think. Have we got any more? Oh, Miguel is saying, do you need to put the tremolo in tempo with the track? Not necessarily. Depends what you're going for. If you're going for a kind of how soon is now type sound, then yeah, you probably do. But for this, I didn't bother. I just set it away. Track's at 96 BPM. The tremolo is at 120 16th notes, or something like that, something resembling that. Let's listen to it and find out. Yeah, it's just a fast tremolo. That's basically it. But you could, but you don't have to. There's no rule that says you have to make the tremolo in time. It can just be a cool little wibbly wobble, if that makes sense. Cool one from my friend Jack. Jack is a student of mine, by the way, a former student, great guitar player, and just, he's got all the right ideas, right? He's got the right attitude about stuff. Has War Jack. He's a great guy. He's saying, it took me a while to realize not everything needs to sound great on its own to fit well in the mix. 100%, right? Just as a purpose of, for the purpose of demonstration, what I'll do here is I'll bypass, apart from that, I'll bypass all of the processing we've done, which is basically just cutting stuff out for the most part. And we'll see how, you know, these things that sound pretty terrible because we cut all the low end out suddenly sound dreadful if you have them all piling up on top of each other. So that's with the processing. Here it is without. Everything's flat, it's all on top of itself. With a little bit of very simple processing. Very simple. We can get much deeper than that, but very simple processing. We've managed to really turn this into something quite nice. Just a quick reminder, the processing we did on the rhythms, we did a low cut, that's it. On the layer, we did a more aggressive low cut and a little bit of 1K boost on a channel strip. That's the SSL 4K, my favorite channel strip right now. We did a little bit of low and high cut on the Enforcer track and a little bit of a boost at 700. which is not normally a frequency we reach for guitars because it sounds a bit honky and nasal, but that's kind of what we're going for. And then for the tremolo, we did a very aggressive high cut, a little notch here. There's a frequency that was annoying me, but we don't need to worry about that. Very aggressive high cut and a 30 millisecond delay on one side to make it stereo, and that's it. It literally couldn't be any simpler than that. This all stuff that you could do with an analog console if you wanted to. There's no fancy stuff going on here apart from maybe the delays, but again, we could easily rig that up. So folks, we have one more question. People are asking about the secret tuning. I'll show you the secret tuning. This is my favorite tuning, right? So we heard the 12 string. Let me just grab this guitar very quickly because the secret tuning is a lot of fun. And we'll use the secret tuning in the next lesson we do on this, which is going to be, I guess, probably on the subject of cleans and what we do in verses and all that sort of thing, because we've already got the big parts. Big parts are good fun. The secret tuning is this. This is a guitar that I refer to as the baritone Nashville guitar. Now, baritone Nashville tuning is a very interesting tuning that I haven't heard anybody else use. I'm sure people do. I definitely haven't invented it because nothing's new on the earth. But let me explain to you Nashville tuning first. So Nashville tuning is what happens when you take a 12 string. Probably better back out here and show you the 12 string once again. 12 string is here. 12 string is tuned as follows. It has 6 strings times 2, hence 12. But the hence 12 bit is because what we have is courses of strings. We have an E, theoretically an E, at least anyway. It's gone out of tune a little bit. And an octave of an E. So it's E plus its octave, A plus its octave, D plus its octave, G plus its octave, and then unisons on B and E. So these are octave strings, octave strings, octave strings, octave strings, unison strings, unison strings. And that's where that chorusy sound comes from. Now, Nashville tuning is what happens when you take a guitar and you only use the highest strings that will be on a 12 string. So what you get is a regular tuning, but these 4 strings, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and sorry, this one, this one, this one, and this one, show you again on these cameras, this one, this one, this one, and this one, they're all up 1 octave. And these 2 are where they would be. So you play a normal chord and it sounds beautiful. However, I've taken that same principle and I've tuned it down B to B. So it's baritone Nashville. It's a really beautiful sound. If you want regular Nashville tuning, put a capo on fret 5. And you have Nashville tuning. Let me play some baritone Nash along with this chorus because it's going to be a lot of fun. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably strum. So let's work out the chords. It's going to be B flat, C, D minor, which I'm going to play like this. B flat, G, let's find a more interesting G. Nope, not into that. That's quite nice. Let's just strum this along and see what it sounds like. It might be a lot of fun. Loads of fun to be had there. It's a secret tuning. We'll crack that out next week. Folks, I gotta love you and leave you. We've already run 10 minutes over, but all that really remains is to say thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. Don't forget to check out the featured course this week, which is Levi Clay's Chord Encyclopedia, Volume 3. It's available as part of your Lick Library membership. My name is Nick Jennison. I'm going to throw the delay back on. I'm going to throw the big gain sound back on and the solo sound. We're going to play out with the solo on this same track. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back next week with another live lesson. More of the same good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really glad you guys could be here. We're back live next week. It's going to be more lovely recordage, I think. Certainly something rhythmic related, I reckon. But I'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys next time. Let's bring this up a little bit. Hi, my name's Nick Jennison, and it's my pleasure to announce that GI Plus, the exclusive lesson platform from Guitar Interactive Magazine, is moving to licklibrary.com. GI Plus features a whole host of the best players and educators in the world, bringing you exclusive lessons on everything from metal to blues to fusion and everything in between. Want to level up your shred chops? Check out How to Play Fast by Andy James. Or how about sweep picking with Rick Graham? Or maybe country's more your bag? Well, how about a full-length country guitar course from Andy Wood? Interested in learning how to play over changes? Well, members get access to hours of exclusive lessons from fusion maestro Tom Quayle. Or maybe you want your playing to sound more soulful. Well, who better than Chris Buck to show you how it's done? Members also get access to every lesson ever published in Guitar Interactive Magazine, including Michael Caswell's legendary Pro Concepts column. Or maybe you want to learn the secrets of the masters. Well, members get access to over 70 full-length tech sessions where our tutors painstakingly decode the styles of players like David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, John Petrucci, Larry Carlton, Slash, Tosin Abasi, Paul Gilbert, and many more. And you get all of this in addition to all of the amazing content on licklibrary.com, which includes note-for-note tuition of over 60 classic albums, weekly lesson uploads, a backing track library, and one-to-one player support. There has never been a better time to sign up than right now.